Welcome to the Extended Bench, your YouTube home for all things rugby league news, analysis, history and opinion. Subscribe so you don't miss a video and give us a thumbs up. The Extended Bench is part of the Rugby League Monthly Network, which includes a monthly online digital magazine available at rugbyleaguemonthly.com and a daily podcast, Rugby League Daily, which airs during the NRL season. All links are down below in the description. Let's get into it. The Cowboys are in a world of hurt right now. Their 2021 was horrendous and things aren't looking much better this year. They had a rotating array of halves last year that saw Jake Clifford eventually head to Newcastle mid-season. They seemingly couldn't settle on a hooker, while Valentine Holmes remained well off the pace following his return from the NFL in 2020. Just didn't seem like a team with any real idea of what it was trying to accomplish and how it was trying to get there. It was also head coach Todd Payten's first full season in charge, and he very quickly seemed to be at loggerheads with Jason Taumalolo, who had a down year. Now, I say a down year because Taumalolo's average of 155 running metres per game is good for most forwards, but well down on his usual standards. Between 2016 and 2020, Taumalolo averaged 189.9 metres per game. We'll get to the rest of the Taumalolo debate a little later, and I've actually got a video essay on him in the works. But back to the Cowboys, and they have managed to recruit Chad Townsend, Jermaine Tourneur-Brown, Brendan Elliott, Tom Dearden and Peter Hiku. Now, the Townsend recruitment is an interesting one to say the least. He's 31 years old and he's on a 3-year deal. So you can be pretty sure the Cowboys don't really have an eye on a young up-and-coming halfback in the near future. Last season was a fairly middling year for him. He managed 16 try assists, which ranked him 10th among NRL halves, but has seemingly abandoned his running game. He ran the ball only 52 times last year, which ranked him 37th amongst halves. While running the ball isn't the be-all and end-all for halves, when you're getting outrun by the likes of Albert Kelly, who played half the number of games, there is cause for concern. If you're not running the ball as a half, you're not worrying defenders. However, what is a positive for the Cowboys here is that Townsend still retained his attacking kicking game. He launched 65 attacking kicks last year, which ranked him 12th, forcing 10 dropouts, which put him in 11th. Having Townsend may be a way for the Cowboys to simply instill some consistency in the halves, and his running game, or lack thereof, may be made up by the fact it appears as though Tom Dearden will be his number 6. The recruit I like the look of the most is Peter Hiku. The Cowboys were shredded on the edges pretty consistently last year, and Hiku is a pretty good defensive centre. An experienced head and seemed to go through a career revival during his time at the Warriors. He's also got the capability to play in the halves if needed due to his ball playing ability. The biggest test of Payten's coaching cojones, though, will be the transition of Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow to fullback. He's a speed machine capable of launching raids from deep in the Cowboys' half, but he's also raw and will undoubtedly make mistakes. The temptation will be there to switch him with Valentine Holmes from centre to the back should things go downhill early on. But really, for the Cowboys, the concern is for the forward pack. Judging by their trial squads, they don't have a hell of a lot of depth, nor do they really possess particularly dominant forwards. Aside from Taumalolo, there probably isn't a forward in their squad that another team would slot in as a starting player. For their trial against the Broncos, they slotted Cohen Hess into the front row. Whether that is permanent change, we'll see. But it says something about their depth when they're taking a player once known for his bullocking runs on the edge and starting him at prop in place of Jordan McLean. And that brings me to the back row. Most of the good sides have dynamic back rowers capable of either running over their opponents or utilising silky ball skills to free up their outside men. The Cowboys don't really possess that. Regardless if they use Hylam Lukey, Jeremiah Nanai or Mitch Dunn, there's just not a lot that screams points. Now back to Taumalolo, and 2021 was definitely a down year for him. Aside from his reduced metres, he also battled 2 broken hands and was limited to just 15 games. In a season where the rules upended how the game was played, playing only 15 games is not going to help you adjust. Taumalolo was also ill-advisedly played on edge at times, while also being the subject of public criticism from Coach Payten about his perceived laziness in defence. Now, Payten probably should reduce Taumalolo's minutes, but he should also do one of two things. Either ensure Taumalolo has a passing game, or move him into the front row. Taumalolo, he threw 63 general play passes last year. For context, Victor Radley passed the ball 386 times last year in only one more game. To break it down into averages, Taumalolo passed the ball 4 times a game last year. Josh Jackson passed it 12 times per game. Jazz Tavanga, 7 times a game. You can't get width in your attack if your lock forward is only being used as a battering ram, and an ineffectual one, relatively speaking, at that. So if Peyton wants the best out of Taumalolo, a passing game is probably the best option. He attracts 3 adventures virtually every hit up, so an ability to release a nice pass will inevitably open up the defence. He could do worse than look at what Junior Paulo does for Parramatta. He doesn't have to be Junior, which would be a stiff ask, but a couple of extra passes per game doesn't hurt. Peyton could also opt to simply shift him into the front row, although he still has a problem then at lock, unless he wants to play Ruben Cotter there full time. And at 95 kilos, it's probably not advisable to have 2 hookers permanently in the middle. As for what the Cowboys need to fix this season, well, just about everything. They conceded a competition worst 748 points and only managed to score 460 points, which put them in 14th. They were both leaking like a sieve and mostly incapable of scoring points. Their major issue was getting up the other end of the field. They managed 587 tackles in the opposition 20, sitting them in 13th. They did move into 10th for run meters per game, but that's relatively useless if you're spending most of your time trucking it out of your own end. They also seem to thoroughly enjoy the one pass hit up, sitting themselves in 7th with 73.5 per game, but were dead last with 6.7 offloads per game and 77 general play passes per game. In contrast, the Rabbitohs topped the charts with 85 one-pass hit-ups, but offloaded 8.2 times per game and strung together 93.3 general play passes per game. In other words, the Cowboys spent a lot of time down their own end, sending one man after another into the teeth of the defence with little variation. As I said at the top, I simply see more pain for the Cowboys this season, and I see them picking up the wooden spoon.